Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is a video to compare the EPOS H6 Pro with the HyperX Cloud Alphas. And you can see the two side by side here, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about the differences between these headsets, the sound quality, and do a microphone test at the end. Now, I've unboxed and reviewed both headsets and both variants of the H6 Pro, both the open and closed back, so I'll link to those videos in the description. And here you can see the open back version next to the HyperX Cloud Alphas. The main difference between the open and the closed is ever so slightly different outer and a different ear cup design, and I'll talk a bit more about that later on, but otherwise they're very similar in setup and specs. You can see the two headphones side by side here, and you'll notice that they're similar in a number of different ways. Obviously the EPOS stands out for its slightly blue, interesting colorway design, and it's also variable in various other color variants as well that perhaps make it a bit more engaging in terms of the overall aesthetic appeal. However, they're both nicely designed with nice padded headbands, nice solid frames on them, and more importantly, large ear cups. You'll notice that the EPOS has a D-shaped ear cup design to it that's more natural than the HyperX Cloud Alphas, which uses an oval design. However, I found both of them to be very comfortable, although perhaps not as deep as I'd like. I think there's a slight bit of extra depth in the EPOS, but otherwise both of them aren't massively deep. However, they are certainly deep enough. The HyperX Cloud Alphas, as you can see, extend nicely and also bend and twist really nicely. They feel solid and durable. I feel like the EPOS might be slightly less flexible. However, it is also still a very nice headset, and it does feel very solid. It also extends out really well, and it has a very interesting design in terms of the way it connects to the ear cup, which makes those ear cups tilt in nicely. This has a flip to mute microphone design, and you can also pull it off as well, which is pretty cool. And there's a little cover which goes over there and replaces that. So if you don't want to use the microphone for any reason, you can take it off and then just turn this headset into a pair of headphones, and you can do that really easily, and that's a bonus. The HyperX Cloud Alphas equally has a removable microphone, although it's not quite as fancy in its design. It's really easy to pop off should you want to. And as I said, I'll do a mic comparison at the end, so stick around for that to be able to hear what the microphones sound like and the difference between them. Both of these headsets are 3.5mm compatible, so they'll work with PC and also with console. The EPOS headset comes with a 2.5 meter cable for PC and a shorter 1.4 meter with just a single connection. And the HyperX Cloud Alphas also has a similar setup in that it also has two cables included in the box. You have one here, which you can see, which has a single connection, and that's a 1.3 meter. But then you also have an extra cable that's an extension lead, which you can plug into that then gives you the split for both microphone and headphone connections on PC. And that's 2 meters long. So you actually get a little bit more cable with the HyperX headset. You'll also notice and take note of the controls on the HyperX headset are via that cable as well, the initial cable. Now, if you pop off the ear cups, you'll be able to see obviously the drivers underneath. It's worth saying that the HyperX has larger drivers, and I'll show you them side by side in a minute. But here you can see a close-up look at the ear cup design. Now note the difference between them in terms of the shape. As I said, this is the open back variant of the EPOS, so it uses a sort of cloth finish to it, and I'll show you the closed back ear cups in a minute. So they're slightly different. However, they both have some very nice cushioning, and I found them quite comfortable to wear during the day. The good thing about the design of the HyperX Cloud Alphas is it blocks out a lot of external noise, has some really good memory foam cushioning that you just saw there, but you can see them side by side. There's not a great deal of difference in the overall depth. Now, the HyperX Cloud Alphas has larger drivers with 50mm drivers versus the 42mm drivers on the EPOS headset. So there is something in the specs there. However, both these headsets go very loud and deliver some really good sound. I'll leave all the information on what they're compatible with in the description, as well as the other specs of interest. But another point of note is the design. So you can see there's a lot of padding on both the headbands, and they're very comfortable to wear, both of them. They're also fairly lightweight. So the EPOS weighs in at 322 grams and the HyperX Cloud Alpha's 336. So they're marginally heavier, but both headphones are easy to wear throughout the day. Now I'm showing you some shots of the closed back variant of the EPOS H6 Pro. You'll notice it's very similar. The keen-eyed viewer will spot some minor differences between that and the open back, which I was showing you a second ago, where basically the open back has some perforation on the outer side of the ear cup, but more importantly, the design of the ear cups. A close-up look at that and you'll see the slight difference between them. So on the closed back variant, it uses a mix of very soft material on the inside and then some faux leather on the outer edge, and you can see that it has this sort of mix of very soft material here and then this faux leather here, and that design is an interesting mix which enables the headset to block out a lot of external noise with a passive noise cancellation, and yet doesn't overheat your ears. So the problem with having obviously faux leather throughout is you find generally that your ears get a bit hotter, and I certainly found that my ears didn't get as hot with the EPOS H6 Pro as they did with the HyperX Cloud Alphas. However, this is obviously going to be down to your personal body design and your environmental surroundings, but it's worth bearing in mind. If you find that you get really hot with the leather, then you might suffer with that issue. But you can see another close look at the cabling. So both these headsets are designed to work with both console and PC. Obviously the shorter cable is there to be able to easily connect something like a controller directly to it, so you can have the audio that you need there. And you'll see that you can easily get that cable out, and you have a long connection that goes into the headset itself, and then a simple connector that goes onto your device. And that 3.5mm connection makes it very compatible. However, obviously both these headphones only have stereo sound because of it, although if you're on PC like I am, then you can make use of something like Dolby Atmos or Windows Sonic sound for the surround sound. However, I did find that both these headsets are able to deliver a really good soundscape. They both have very nice bass to them, a really good audio range, and a great sound overall. They're very comparable in terms of the sound. I found them very pleasant on the ears, and they give it a good audio range. The main difference obviously is that design and also the microphone, which I'll show you in a second, and the overall look and feel of them. The HyperX Cloud Alphas are possibly a little bit more understated with that stealthy black design. Obviously neither of these headsets have RGB lighting, which is a bonus, but they're certainly nice looking, comfortable, and easy on the ears and on the head. So it's really nice to be able to wear these headphones all day long and keep comfortable in that way. Now, there are some things that I prefer about the EPOS. I think the EPOS headset is a little nicer looking on the outside, and also it has the controls for the volume directly on the headset itself, which is far less fiddly than the controls of the HyperX Cloud Alphas, which are on the cabling instead, and the little controller is just a little bit fiddly and annoying for that. Also, flip to mute is a lot easier because you hear the audible click when you do that on the EPOS headset. Neither headset, however, has side tone, so you can't hear yourself through the microphone, which is obviously an issue with closed back design. It's worth bearing that in mind before you get started with either of them. However, do have a lot of flexibility in being able to remove that mic entirely and use something else, as I am now. And now I'm going to show you the difference between the mic capture. And here I am on PC with the HyperX Cloud Alphas on my head. And it's important to note it's on PC because I have boosted the microphone audio in Windows by 30 decibels, so that's something to bear in mind. And the sound is, as you can hear, a lot more compressed than my standard microphone, but it does do a fairly good job of blocking out external noise. So if I open up Notepad and just type in the background, so you'll be able to see what's going on there. I am using red switches at the moment. These are red key switches, so they're not particularly loud. And I think the mic does a pretty good job of blocking out external noise. Obviously you could turn that gain down a little bit more and that would block it out even more, but it's not too bad, and certainly not as good quality as a dedicated mic, but still good enough for a headset microphone, and I can be heard nice and clearly, which is obviously important. You'll also notice the overall look of the ear cups here and the sort of depth and the fit of them, and a nice bit of headband extension. It has a decent clamping force, doesn't fly off the head, nice and comfortable to wear. I think this is probably my preference in terms of comfort and maybe the overall sound. And here I am with the EPOS headset, which I think sounds a little bit warmer perhaps, and also blocks out a little bit more external noise when boosted. So one of the things you'll notice is that sort of whistle of sound in the background from the HyperX. However, they're both quite compressed and not comparable to a proper microphone, and you can see the extension of something like the EPOS mic. It'll go into various different positions until it hits the mute at the top, but it has a more solid design on the microphone than the HyperX. However, there isn't a windshield on the end, you'll notice, so it does pick up some mouth noise and some of the plosive sounds as well, which is not countered by that, unfortunately. However, still a great sounding microphone. But you can see this is the open back model, so you can see some of the differences from those earlier shots, but you will note again, good clamping force. It's not going anywhere, it stays on there nicely. And I think actually in terms of how it fits on the ear, this is the better headset, because it has this little bracket here which essentially sits, and the ear cups tilt inwards and outwards, so it's adjustable into a position where it's sort of fits with the tilt and shape of your head a bit more. The HyperX doesn't really do that as well. However, they both offer a good force. I just feel like this one is a bit more comfortable in its overall design, but I think I prefer the sound of the Cloud Alphas. So you can see two quite different headsets, and yet two very rich sounding, good looking, comfortable to wear, and all round well feature packed headsets worth checking out. I'll leave all the specs and features and everything else in the description, as well as links on where to buy and links to my full in-depth reviews on both of them. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting, hilarious, or otherwise. Take a look at these other videos that I think you might find interesting as well, and have a look at the description for links and other information you might find useful. Click that join button to see the benefits of being a member of my YouTube channel, and most importantly, have a great life.